Have you ever been so afraid that you felt like you could not move? I know sometimes we feel afraid and then something might startle us and we feel fear and we want to just run right away. But have you ever felt fear that made you feel like you couldn't move, like you couldn't make a decision, you couldn't do anything, you were just paralyzed? Well, in today's video, I am talking about 8 fears that the unfaithful face that causes them to get stuck. Hi, my name is Stacey and I'm a certified life coach specializing in infidelity recovery of the unfaithful spouse. I'm glad you decided to stop by this video and watch my video. I hope that it helps you. I work with clients one-on-one. We work to end an affair and prevent relapse and to completely recover from the affair. And what I mean by that is to find out what your hidden wounds are, what triggers you have that caused you to respond to hard times in your marriage with infidelity. So if you would like more information about working one-on-one with me, I'll leave all that information in the description box below. So please be sure to go check that out. I also have free resources on my website. And let's get started. Okay, so I had a lot of fears after my affair, and now that I've been working with clients for about 2 years, I'm hearing a lot of the same fears come up over and over again. So I wanted to address those. I wanted to put them out there and let you guys know some common fears that I'm seeing that is causing people to get stuck in recovery. Because what I want to say about recovery is, in a fair world, a recovery should have a beginning point and an end point for each individual, meaning for the spouse that was betrayed, for the person who had the affair, and for the marriage, if you should choose to stay with your partner. So there should be a beginning and an end. The beginning is when the affair ends, and the end is when the couple is completely healed. They are happy, they are enjoying each other again. Trust has been rebuilt, the marriage has been rebuilt to a higher standard of what it was before, and the couple has really learned how to enjoy each other and communicate effectively. And the unfaithful spouse has worked on themselves and has grown, become self-aware, and has really put in a lot of work to work with where God comes in and just transforms that person and heals those inner wounds from childhood. So that's the beginning. That's what it's supposed to look like. But sometimes during that phase, we can see that the unfaithful will get stuck. And I wanted to talk about some of those reasons that causes us to get stuck. So let's first talk about what is fear. So when I looked it up in the dictionary, because I like to look up words in the dictionary, I wanted to know, like, concretely, what is this? So this is how the dictionary described it: an unpleasant, often strong emotion caused by an anticipation or an awareness of danger, anxious, reason for alarm, fear the worst, to be afraid, or apprehensive. So this is what happens when we are feeling fear. So we anticipate the worst, usually, and we feel like something bad is going to happen. So there's an apprehensive of something that is going to happen that's unpleasant, that we don't want to happen. And during recovery, when we have these fears and they become so real in our minds, it can cause us to just stop. So, fear is going to cause you, especially if you're in anxiety mode where panic is starting to set in, it's going to cause you to freeze, or it's going to cause you to flight. So you're either going to run back to your affair partner when you're experiencing these fear moments, or you're going to freeze and you're not going to know how to move forward in recovery with your marriage or even recovery of yourself. So I want to talk about that. Now, I want to say that our emotions are real. So it's important to understand that we have fear and that we should address it. I'm not saying that we should not look at these fears, because that's how we're going to get through it, is by facing it. But our emotions are not always true. So the fear that we may be feeling it could not be valid. It could just be that, just a fear, a fear of the future or fear of the past or just the unknown and the uncertainty. And the unknown and uncertainty is what drives infidelity to begin with. It feeds infidelity. I don't know what's going to happen. Everything's so up in the air. And what I mean by that is a lot of times, okay, I'm not going to get into that. That's part 2. So I'm doing a 2-part series on this. So part 2 is going to be the fear that drives us to have an affair. This is just the affair. This is just what keeps us stuck. So let's get on to it. Okay, so number 1, we fear the marriage will go back to how it was before the affair. So I'm going to give you an example. So my husband, he said that before he found out the affair, that God gave him like an awakening, like he had an epiphany that he had been MIA in our marriage and with our kids, that, he had become a workaholic and he was just working way too much. And that was causing a lot of stress on me. Now, I didn't have to choose to have an affair, but that was my response to his behavior. But my husband felt that way, and he felt really bad for not being an active participant in the marriage and in the family. So he came to me, he apologized, and during recovery, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm really scared that he's not going to stay this way, because we had established a date night. We established a coffee date every day, every morning that he was home. We established where we would have 30 minutes a day and we would spend time together just talking to each other, no phones or none of that. And I really enjoyed that because that's what I wanted the whole time. Well, I had a deep fear that that was not going to happen, that it would change, that he would go back to being a workaholic, that he would go back to not paying attention to me or the kids. So that fear almost caused me to retreat and say, okay, I don't want to get closer to you because I'm afraid you're going to leave me emotionally again. So this is a huge, huge fear for a lot of unfaithfuls, that they're going to go back to an empty marriage. They're going to go back to being alone. Now, for me, this fear was not something, I can't say I didn't have it before the affair ended, because I did. I did think that to myself. But what happened for me was the fear of regretting ending my marriage later on was stronger than the fear of him returning back to, being MIA. So basically, I didn't want to live in regret. So that was worse than my concern. But I do see this fear a lot, and I do see how it puts a pause on the affair ending, meaning the unfaithful, they want to go back home to their husband or their wife, but they're afraid that it's going to be the same way it was before. And it's almost like once you have that taste of feeling alive and feeling like you have a partner in life, you really don't want to go back to having to do life alone. So that's a huge fear, and it's very understandable. It's definitely a concern, and the thing is, it's not an issue that gets addressed a lot in marriage recovery after infidelity, because a lot of recovery focuses on what the unfaithful did wrong and how to help the betrayed heal, which, don't get me wrong, that is definitely a part of recovery, but like I said, it's just a part. So there are more than one part to recovery when it comes to your marriage. The unfaithful has to be a part of that recovery, meaning their emotions have to be taken seriously and have to be given a priority. Both the betrayed and the unfaithful have to be given the priority and the space to heal. Okay, number 2 is fear we will never feel this way again. So the high of the affair is so strong, it's so intense. One of my clients, actually, it was a betrayed client, he pinned this, like this little quote. He said it's like romanticism on crack, and I love that because that is exactly how it felt for me and a lot of my clients. It's just a super strong, intense high, and you can call it limerence, you can call it the romantic stage of love, which I really believe that's what it is, that's what happens. but it's almost in heightened, it's just turned on so much, because of the situation. I'm not going to go into all of the details, but just because of the relationship and the affair itself makes it so much more intense. Well, we get caught up in all of that. We think that that feeling is going to last forever. So then we begin to feel like I will never have this joy again. I will never enjoy loving my husband again, or I will never meet someone else and feel this way again. So that fear actually causes us to cling onto our affair partner longer, or cling onto a relationship longer, which keeps us in that cycle of on again and off again. So number 3, fear of the future. We fear the future because we don't know what the future holds, which no one really does. God does give us, hope. He says that I know the plans and thoughts I have for you, plans not to harm you, but to give you a future and a hope. So God does encourage us that He has good plans for us. But when we are coming out of an affair, now we really don't know what the future is, especially if we was building the future around our affair partner and I getting together at some point. So we was building this life together, we was going to leave, and get together. So all this is going on, and now that's been taken away, and you don't know if the marriage is going to make it. You don't know how you're going to survive. Now you're in this huge emotional mess. So the fear of the future definitely can cause us to cling onto them and stop us from ending the affair, or drive us back to the affair partner, or even just cause us to just stop and stand still and reevaluate our whole life and reevaluate the marriage. Even if we want to recover, we might stop and put a pause on that because we just are so uncertain. Now, number 4, fear we won't be strong enough to say no to the affair partner or maintain the no contact. This is very important because, during that danger zone, which is the time the affair ends, to about 3 months, you're most vulnerable, and to a relapse, to meaning going back to your affair partner. So you fear that, you feel that weakness, you feel like, hey, if they called me or texted me, I'm gonna go back to them. And I felt that way a lot, for a while actually. I felt like, oh my God, if I saw him, I would talk to him. And what if he gets my heart again, or what if he's still in my heart and I just throw everything away like I did, because I can't believe I did that, So you feel out of control, you feel hopeless, and you feel like you're never going to regain control over your life. But that's just not true. You do gain strength. I just want to tell you that, there's a process, there's tools, and there's lots of things that I had to put in place to help myself feel stronger. And that the day actually came. I actually had 2 days. I will just tell you right quickly. I had 2 days. One day I ran into him in the store, and I saw him coming towards me, and I felt the fear like grip my heart, but I ran in the other direction, so I didn't even stay to talk to him to see what he was going to say. The next time, he had a friend of ours call me and try to get me in a conversation about him and to get on the phone with him, and I completely ignored it. So the strength will come. So this fear is not necessarily true of, not of being weak. You are not as weak as you think you are. You just need the tools to get through that period. Okay, number 6, fear you will never be forgiven. Now, this fear is a fear that will cause you to stay in the affair, because you will think, or at least I did, if I'm not going to be forgiven, then I might as well just do what's making me happy, because I'm not going to go back into a relationship where this is going to be held over my head for the rest of my life, and I'm going to have to pay for this sin, or whatever you want to call it, for the rest of my life, and I can't be happy. Now, that's one part of fear of never being forgiven, and that will just, I might as well just say, forget it. I'm just staying where I'm at. I'm already doing something wrong. I might as well just keep enjoying myself and ride this thing out until it ends. Now, the second part of that is the fear that you'll never be able to forgive yourself, and then you wind up punishing yourself, and you never let yourself be happy. So we combat that with the forgiveness of God, the forgiveness that He offers us, and other ways that we can learn how to forgive ourselves. But I have to keep moving. All right, number 7. Now, this one is a biggie. And it's fear of your own feelings. And what I mean by that is, this is some examples. I love my husband, but I'm confused. I'm afraid to have sex again because it made me cry when I had sex with my husband too soon after the affair was over. I'm afraid of still loving my affair partner after 2 months. I'm afraid I will always love him. So after 2 months means after 2 months of no contact. I'm afraid that I still love him and I will never love my husband. Sex with my husband happened too quickly. It upset me. I cried. It's not the same. I'm afraid sex will never be the same. I love my husband. I love my affair partner. I want to work on my marriage, but I still have feelings for my affair partner. I'm confused. I'm afraid I will never get past this. All of this is real fears, and it causes you to put a halt on everything because you're completely confused about what's going on, and your feelings are scaring you. And this is so real. And writing this, I remember, I could remember what this felt like. And this is some of the stuff, these fears that I'm going through. This is what I help my clients with. This is what I help you guys overcome. And it's hard for me to get into everything in one short video, but this is why coaching is so important. When an affair ends, you need someone to come in and help you work through all of these affair issues that come up. The fears, the confusion. You need someone who's been there, who knows how to get you through. So that's why I'm here, and that's my desire, is to help you break free from these fears that are causing you to stay stuck. Now, the last one, because I'm running over time. Number 8, I'm afraid to go through withdrawals, grief, and the physical symptoms. So this was a big fear of mine. My therapist at the time told me that, your affair is going to end, you're going to experience grief, and she briefly went through it with me. But holy moly, nobody told me the pain that I would actually experience. So I was afraid of the pain to begin with, and this will cause people to stay stuck and hang on a little bit longer. And the reason you get afraid of the pain is because when the affair gets to that place where it's an on and off again cycle, you kind of get a taste of what it's going to be like not to have them. So you're starting to feel like, you might have that waking up in the middle of the night in a panic. You might have bad dreams. You might can't sleep, because they're gone, and you might not talk to them for 2 weeks, and then you guys get back together. So you get a little sample of what you might have to experience, or a little, brief moment of what it's going to be like, and that causes you to freeze. And that's where the on and off again comes from, and that's where you might hear you say it, or your spouse might hear you say, it's hard for me to end it. Or you might see your spouse struggling with trying to end it, but they can't. And you might even go, I'm trying to end it, but I can't. And it's because this fear is gripping you. So that is the 8 fears that you will face that keeps you stuck. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Feel free to email me. And like I said, I'm here to help you. If you feel like this is where you are and you need help, let's sign up for a free one-on-one. It's a 30-minute chat, and we can, just go through a little bit of the basics, and then we can move from there. But I pray that this has helped you, and that you will learn that fear is a liar. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.